So this is what we're going to be unboxing and installing today, plus more goodies to finalize the suspension segment. This is going to be the final episode with the suspension upgrades. So I want you to take a seat, chill back, and enjoy this last suspension episode. Let's get cracking. So like the title says, we are going to be installing a rear sway bar on this Honda Civic Si. Since it's front wheel drive, it only needs the rear sway bar, because if you put both of them, which I had before, and I'll explain the little details on that in just a second. If you put both of them, you're going to basically create more oversteer on the car, and you don't want that. But I'll explain to that in just a second. Front wheel drive cars tend to understeer, which basically when you're taking a corner, it turns, but it's going to give you a wider turn if you're not careful. And also when you make a hard turn or coming at a harder at a faster speed and want to trail brake, you are going to get that famous front wheel drive. Let's say if you're turning right, your rear right wheel will lift up from the ground, and you don't want that. You want the car to be stable, to have all the wheels on the ground so you can get the maximum grip, thus giving you the best lap time on the track if you're doing track racing. That's what we have this guy here, the rear sway bar, to stiffen the rear of the car, which is what is needed. This one is the Megan Racing High Performance Rear Sway Bar. I purchased this from Fitment Industry, a very famous company. They have their own YouTube channel. I'll link them on below. Their customer service was excellent. I was able to give them a call. They answered all my questions. I emailed them. They emailed me right back the next day. They were very good with customer service. I give them a 10 out of 10 on that one. They will be getting more of my business. This one is the Megan Racing once more. I wanted the blocks version of this rear sway bar, but blocks is back order all the way to the end of almost a year, and I can't wait for that. I need to get this repair done, or sorry, this upgrade installed, because this car needs to be ready for the summer. Let's get to this. There's nothing else to being said. This part number is the, let's see, yep, this is the Megan Racing MRS HA0791. We'll just open it up right now and see how's the packaging. So like I was saying while I'm opening this up, okay, comes with some padding. Like I was saying, I had both A.S.A.P front and rear on this car. With that being said, it was a good upgrade, but the car really was, I would say, very twitchy when you're turning. It oversteered a lot when you're coming pretty hot in a corner or pretty fast. I did some research, and even autocross guys, track guys always said, hey, don't touch the front sway bars on these front wheel drive cars, especially the Civic, because the Civic one is already beefed up. If anything, you want to go down to like the R18 or the base model Civics and take their sway bars, because they're much smaller, to create a better handling when you're on the track or when you're in the back roads. I'm going to keep it stock, but you'll see what I'll do to give it a little bit of spice up or upgrade on there with what I'm going to unbox next. But what we have here is the rear sway bar from Megan. I haven't tried just the rear sway bar on this car. Like I said, I have both front and back A.S.A.P before. I sold it and went back to stock, and honestly, I definitely felt a difference. It's better to have the sway bar than not having the sway bars when you are lowering the car or upgrading the suspension. Upgrade the sway bars is a must if you want to have good handling. So I'm gonna just try the rear plus upgrading the fronts just a little bit to see how it works. Let's get this opened up here. The rule of thumb is that if you have a front wheel drive, from what I was reading and researching before I did all these purchases, is that if you have a front wheel drive car, you want to just upgrade the rear. If you have a rear wheel drive car, you want to upgrade the front. If you have an all wheel drive car, it all depends on how that handles and what's the weight distribution, and then you could decide if you want both or just either or on that end. You would have to drive it on the track with all-wheel drive cars because they're a little more finicky when it comes to adjusting their suspension due to the all-wheel drive components. This is just the rear. This is just an upgrade from the stock, which is 17 millimeter. We're upgrading it now to 19 millimeter. If we take these guys off here, I could show you that there is two options. You have the regular option to put in the sway links, and then the stiffer option to put in the sway links. So you have two options where you could go from soft to stiff on there on both ends. And this looks really cool. Like, it has the Megan Racing logo. I like the color. I'm a fan of like upgrading these suspension upgrades in different colors than just black or silver. So that way, when you look under the car and you're fixing the car, you're like, well, that's a performance upgrade. Oh, well, that's a performance upgrade. This is definitely performance. It says for off-road use only. Let's hope that this gives me the handling that I'm looking for when I drive it and test it and give you guys reviews once this car is out of this garage. But we're gonna get to this installation in just a second. Let's see the hardware that it brings. I'm gonna put this right here for now. So going back to that rule of thumb, let's say you have a car like a Miata or an S2000, which is fit, or a lot of BMWs, which is 50-50 weight distribution, front and back. I would say in those cars, upgrade both front and back, to be honest, since you're gonna mess up the geometry of the weight of the car if you do just the back or if you do just the front. Upgrade both, see how it works, and then if you see that, hey, this is just way too twitchy or way too front end happy, yeah, just test out either front or rear depending on the application of the car, if it's front wheel drive or rear wheel drive. So going back to checking the hardware here, we have some bushings. I believe these are polyurethane. Yes. We also come with some spacers, and I hope they gave me some polyurethane grease here. Hopefully they did. I'm not seeing it in the package, but no worries if it's not in the package. Maybe in the box. No. Well, let's open this bag up and see if there's any. Do come with some instructions. I mean, it's not that hard to change the sway bars. Yeah, it's not that hard actually. They have torque specs too, which is good. I'm gonna put that aside so we could get that. We have 4 bushings here, which I also want to know why they give us 4 when there's only 2 under the car. They're different sizes, a small and a regular size from what it looks like. And we have some stickers, the spacer there, and that's about it. Yeah, they did not apply any grease for the polyurethanes. Okay, we're gonna continue unboxing here. The next thing that I have here is sway bar links. If you're gonna upgrade your sway bars, might as well upgrade the links. They're not that expensive. You go to Rock Auto where I went, and I just purchased some premium Dorman sway bar links. They're like stock. You don't need adjustable ones unless you're gonna be like building a full track car. For just sway bar links, just get some new ones. They last a pretty long time once they worn out because the car is lowered, and these are not meant to be in that angle. So swap them out. Reason why? Cheap. You get them from Rock Auto, pretty cheap. These are premium Dorman sway bar links. I'll open it up so you can see it. Let me get one that's already open here. Yep. They come with the hardware that you need on there, and from what they look like, they're pretty durable. So nothing needed. Everything comes with the kit. If you damage the one that you have on the car right now, the hardware, you could just have new hardware here. All right, so we'll put that aside. Let me put that back in here so I can know which one it is, front left or front right. Now, for the last component, to beef up the front suspension sway bar, you want to upgrade to energy suspension. That's what I'll recommend to do. Don't change the sway bar, just change the sway bar links. Since you're mounting a polyurethane bushing, this is by Energy Suspension. I purchased this from kseriesparts.com. I'll put the links below in the description. But yeah, these are energy suspension polyurethane bushings. This is gonna stiffen the front just a little bit to give it that rigidity that it needs when you're doing off-road track use or back road aggressive driving, and that should be just fine. This actually comes with the grease that you need for the polyurethane, so I won't waste it all on just this. I'll put some on the Megan Racing since they did not provide this. You definitely need the grease. But yeah, energy suspension is very popular when it comes to the polyurethane. They're like the #1 company when it comes to polyurethane in the United States. These are going to definitely deliver the front sway bar upgrade that we need with the stock sway bar. You don't need to spend money on that. So with that being said, we have all the parts here. Let's get to installing it on the car and finalizing this episode and suspension segment. I'll see you on the front of the car since it's going to be the easier installation of both. And we're just going to replace the driver's side sway bar link and the bushings by Energy Suspension. So we're back under the front driver's side wheel well where we're going to upgrade the front sway bar. Once again, we're not removing or replacing the front sway bar. We're just going to upgrade a little bit. Reason why is because the Civic Si brings a thick enough sway bar. I believe is 28 millimeters, if I'm correct. That's enough for back road use and track use. Like I said, if anything, I have read from amateur and professional autocrossers that you might want to lower down to the base model Civic front sway bar to get a better rotation. I already replaced the sway bar links on the passenger side. That's this guy that we have here. If you see, it looks very stock looking. The rotation on it is pretty much worn out. I believe this, if anything, is the original one that the car brought, if it hasn't been updated. But yeah, when I lowered the car, it like pretty much took all the stress out of it and just probably gave up. It was still a working part, but it is worn out, to be honest. So that's why we're going to replace it with the Dorman Premium Sway Bar link here. That comes with the hardware. As you can see, it's not as soft. It's pretty much to like turn. It's pretty much a hassle to do it compared to how soft the one that the stock one brought. It's pretty much worn out. Okay, so let's get to that right now. We're just going to replace 2 bolts here or 2 nuts here that need to be removed. You have to have the Allen key inserted in order to hold the sway bar links because they will spin while you're trying to spin off the nut. I'm going to show you that here in a close-up. I have here the 14 millimeter close end wrench, which is what you're going to need. And it's probably the best option since it's a ratchet wrench and you could continue spinning it out. And you're also going to need an Allen number 5 in order to hold the sway bar in the center there, so that way you could get the nut out and not have the sway bar link spin around. I'm going to show a close-up here. So the T5 goes inside the sway bar link, and then you have the 14 millimeter to remove it out there. All right, so we'll start with that. Let's start with the top one first. You're first going to insert the ratchet. You're going to have it on off, and let's see how we get it out pretty easy here. Also, PB Blaster is your best friend in all these suspension upgrades that we have been doing here. And if you don't have a torch, definitely get one. A torch is also your best friend here. Let's see. So, I don't know if you can see there, I have both the close-ended ratchet wrench with on the nuts, which is a 14 millimeter, and I have the T5 inside of the Allen. T5 Allen inside of the sway bar, and I have it sitting on the top of the lower control arm, which I'm going to use the ratchet wrench to spin out the nut without rotating the sway bar link, which is what I'm doing here. Try to get a good grip in there so that way it doesn't damage the groove. There we go. This can take some time to get it out. So like I said, we're going to introduce heat to it because it is rusted. So we're going to introduce some heat on here. Just be careful with the surrounding areas and make sure that everything is clear from the flame or the torch. All right, so that took a while, but suspension is off. We're going to do the same thing to the bottom one here. And I'm just going to give it some heat because I know it is rusted. So we're just going to start applying heat from now. So we'll do that now. All right. So that's off. And we're going to install the new one. I'm going to bring back the Permatex anti-seize. I'm going to put a little bit on the threads there, so that way they don't seize up on me. There we go. Okay, those two on. Same thing, just to tighten them up. Old one is out. We could toss these. So now let's move on to installing the Energy Performance polyurethane suspension bushing.